Hello and welcome to the Publisherspeak series for Peer Review Week 2022. We're delighted to speak to industry professionals from across the publishing lifecycle about peer review with a focus on this year's theme, research integrity, creating and supporting trust in research. We are very excited to talk to Dr. Vivienne Bachelet today. She's currently a professor at the School of Medicine at the University of Santiago de Chile, where she chairs the Evidence-Based Medicine Unit. She's been a pioneer researcher conducting health research in both the private as well as academic sectors. Vivienne is the founder of Medwave, a bilingual, peer-reviewed, open access, biomedical, and public health journal. Welcome, Vivienne. Thank you for joining us today.
I'm very happy to be here with you.
So, Vivienne, I'm going to get started with your role as an editor. What is your take on the level of trust and integrity in research today?
Well, my reality is Latin America, and we have some issues regarding integrity, but not that many. More fundamentally, we have a lack of training of our research community in research integrity, and also research methods and correct reporting of especially biomedical results. So I'd say that in my own reality, it's we are pretty much okay in the sense that people are cognizant of the fact that they have to adhere to certain standards, but maybe they don't know what the standards are.
Yeah, it's a very good point. I think everybody wants to do well. It's our job to educate. So in line with that, what resources and tools do you use to educate and help maintain integrity in this process?
If we want to be consistent with what we say, that we actually endorse and enforce reporting guidelines, we do expect our authors to submit a reporting guideline together with their research according to whatever research design they're using. So we do try to enforce that, and we try to make the point that our research articles have to be a complete, transparent, and accurate depiction of what was done and what was found. So that's what we do to put, to help our community in what they're doing.
Excellent. In line with research, I think a big part of research is to make sure we're able to communicate advances to both the research community as well as the general public. So how do you think we can make that better? How can we make this communication a lot better than it is?
Well, my journal specifically is found by a lot of patients, when they Google. So although our target audience is a more specific professional audience and academic audience, we do reach out a lot to patients, but we don't engage with them specifically. I think right now, it's the researchers themselves that should be able to engage with the lay community as they are planning and conducting their research. I think it's more, the onus is more on the researchers than the editors and the journals.
Fantastic. I think, Vivienne, we would all like to hear a little bit more about Medwave, the journal that you've created, and what's special about it.
It is special in the sense that I founded it. So therefore it's special. But basically, it's special because when we founded it with my partner back then in the year 2000, and the first number was in January of 2001, we're just two women doctors, very, very independent and independent from any kind of commitment whatsoever, independent from the industry, independent from medical societies, independent from medical organizations and associations. And so we did 10 years of conference coverage. We did work together with the medical societies here in Chile and with a lot of teaching hospitals in getting out a whole lot of great content out there. And we did a lot of continuing medical education. So we set up e-learning courses back in 2002. Yeah, 2002, 2003, our first e-learning courses. And then in 2010, my partner wasn't around anymore. I had bought her part. And so as editor-in-chief, I decided to convert the journal to a peer-reviewed journal. And that's what we've been doing in the past 12 years. And so we continue to be independent, and we continue to be a feminine run journal. My co-editor-in-chief is Dr. Eva Madrid. She's from the University of Valparaiso. She's a great woman also. And so it's always been run by women.
Fantastic. So your journal that's being run from the global south automatically means that you can't just support English speaking people. You have to support people in your own country and region. So what's special? What does Medwave do?
We were born to serve our region. We were never born to serve our country or to serve some universities in Chile. So it's never been an endogamous kind of journal at all. We were born to serve our country. We're born to help the research community of our region to move forward, to keep the pace up with the dynamics of research worldwide. But we were also born to publish locally generated knowledge and contents pertinent to our local communities. We do believe that publishing in Spanish is going to help uptake of whatever we publish, say reviews or practice guidelines. It's much easier to have local physicians uptake whatever recommendations are coming out when these are pertinent to our reality. But of course, if we only publish in Spanish, then the outreach to the rest of the world is going to be limited, and many of our own research community and researchers and academics are going to lose interest in publishing in our journal. So we did decide on moving forward in a bilingual kind of publication. So we started in 2014, and we adopted several models to produce translated versions of the accepted articles. And by now we are fully bilingual, Spanish and English.
That's great, Vivienne. I think a case can be made now that there's far more research and far more research publications being done by researchers from the global south. And that also brings to point now that multilingualism is a topic that we must all discuss. Help me understand what multilingualism means in terms of a journal, and also what role do you think multilingualism can play in terms of improving trust and integrity in research?
Multilingualism, especially when you allow researchers, authors, peer reviewers, readers to have access to important content in their discipline in the language that they best understand and the language that they best know how to write in and how to communicate in, is obviously very important for anybody who is a non-English speaker. We do know that English is the language of choice for scientific exchange. It's dominant, and many of us researchers, now I speak as a researcher, do feel pressured to write in English. And our universities also put a lot of pressure for us to publish in English, in the understanding that the English language journals are better journals. But that doesn't necessarily have to be the case. So we do need to understand that globalization is now sort of exhausting much of its initial drive. And what's happening now is that we must also put on a balance globalization and the dominance of English and the global north with our own needs in the global south, with a whole plethora of languages that are spoken in the global south, as well as in the north for that matter, and try to sort of strike this balance of justice, of equity, so that our communities, our research communities, our academic communities can express themselves in the best manner possible, communicating the local production of knowledge pertinent to our communities, and in ways that can be understood by our readers and users, but at the same time also being able to engage in a conversation with the global north and with other languages, with other research communities that speak other languages, and maybe the common bridge is still going to be English. So we need to be able to publish in English for the good of the world. So that would be globalization. And we need to be able to publish in our own source languages for the good of our own local communities. And I think putting out bilingual scholarly journals, and I say bilingual or trilingual, maybe, like Switzerland, or bilingual, maybe Canada, is a way to solve the issue. And that's what now others also call localization, which is the interpenetration of globalization together with local realities and giving a preeminence also to those local realities. So having it more on a horizontal kind of status with globalization. So not everything that comes from globalization is the best. There's a lot of stuff coming out also from local realities that have to be accounted for.
Then you certainly make a very compelling argument, and it seems like there should be more journals considering this path, but yet we don't see them. I imagine there's a bunch of challenges which journals have to overcome in order to incorporate this. Could you talk to us a little bit about what challenges you faced and how you overcame them?
Yeah, you have to be deeply committed to multilingualism and to the protection and preservation of your source language and cultures, to move forward in a bilingual kind of scientific communication. The costs are far bigger than just publishing in a single language. The benefits are enormous, but there are a lot of hurdles and obstacles that have to be overcome. One of them being, how can you ensure that the article that you are publishing in 2 languages is actually is well preserved and is consistent between the languages. So as editors, we are called upon to preserve the integrity of the scholarly record. And if you're preserving 2 languages, of course, there's a lot more work involved. And but there are ways also. I think technology is helping us find new inroads as to how to do this cheaper and faster and more efficiently, and therefore make it also feasible.
Great. What do you think publishers, funders, and the ecosystem in general, what can we all do in order to support this whole effort of multilingualism? What needs to change?
Well, don't get me started on politics here. I think a lot has to change. And basically, when I say politics, I mean how power is distributed in the world. So I am very critical of the concentration of power, of knowledge, of capital, of resources in the global north. But I don't think the global north is going to relinquish that power easily. And that power lies also in the big editorial and publishing companies based fundamentally in the East Coast of the United States, in London, in Amsterdam, and pretty much that's it. So they have also a lot of influence and clout on rankings. They have put out many of the university rankings also sort of feed into this kind of recirculation of power amongst the same entities. I think we do have to be very critical of how power is distributed between the North and the South. That's, for me, that's a starting point. If you don't have a critical standpoint of that, then you will probably be prone to value less what is your own culture if you're from the South, and you may make less efforts to make yourself more powerful and, in effect, just hand yourself over. And when there, I can give you some specific examples of what I mean when I'm saying hand yourself over. There is a Chilean journal that started to be published by one of the large publishing houses, and they reverted completely to English, for example. And while 10 years ago they were publishing research also from the region, today they're publishing essentially papers from China. So that's a way of sort of relinquishing your power to others. If you had an expression, a scientific academic expression from your region, that's gone in the case of that journal. So, that's a specific example of things that I think we should not do. I don't know if it answers your question.
I think it does. And it actually leads me to my next, I call it an observation. Given the number of authors and potentially reviewers who are from a non-native English-speaking countries, it seems to me like they have a big part to play in making this movement happen.
Of course, we can broaden the pool of authors and reviewers and editors if we open up to more languages as an expression of multiculturalism. And to the extent that mainstream journals are able to tap into this huge potential of people who do want to express themselves in their own language, we can strengthen also a whole bunch of research communities. It's very important.
Great. You touched upon earlier about the role of technology in helping multilingualism happen. What kinds of tools do you think are necessary, and what exist and what potentially are on the way that will help make this a reality?
There has been a peer review platform that was bilingual from many years ago, which is OJS. It is a open source kind of peer review platform. So, and it comes from Canada, but that's pretty much it. So we did need a peer review platform that would allow peer reviewers and authors move about in their own language. And now we have one, as you know, Ravi, we have developed one together as partners in Korea Docs. And I think that's very important. So we need peer review platforms that will accommodate more than one language. That for certain. And the standard peer review platforms in the industry are only in English. Second, we need to be able to publish our journals, our online journals, in 2 languages, or at least 2 languages, but let's say 2 languages. So that means having fully bilingual websites that you can switch from one to the other. And so if you're searching something in English and you only speak English because you may be coming from Russia and you don't speak Spanish, then you need to have that in English. But if you're a user or reader from here, then you would want to read it in Spanish. So that means being able to quickly publish in 2 languages efficiently. How do you transition an article from a source language to English, for example? Well, in our case, we use some technologies. We're using DeepL. I think it's a great technology to translate. And we spruce it up with Grammarly, which is also another very good technology. I think those artificial or machine-based intelligence technologies or whatever are hugely important. And I think they're really great. I mean, they're getting each day better. This is really machine learning, and it's probably going to solve the conundrum of multilingualism. And those artificial intelligence solutions should be embedded in the copy editing and typesetting technologies that we use for production of our journals.
Absolutely, completely agree with that. No, Vivienne, I would call you yourself a trendsetter in this space in trying to enable these workflows for authors and really bringing a new dimension. What are some of the other trends that you've seen that other publications have adopted that you admire or that you watch and post?
I think open access is interesting. Paywall is very, it's tough. It's tough, especially on universities that don't have access to all of the journals that collect for a fee for reading their papers. So I think that's sort of on the way out. There's been a big shift in the industry in terms of really opening up, and that's important. But I don't know, I think there's a lot of, there's much attention being paid on having like more gender equality in editorial committees, in the peer review pool, in the authors. So gender is a big thing. But what I don't see is attention paid to how some research is done in third world countries and where the main researcher still comes from the first world. So what I'm saying is that when we speak of diversity, inclusion, and all of that, there's a strong focus coming from first world countries on gender and race, but not on geopolitical diversity or geopolitical asymmetries. So I sort of stopped looking at these journals as industry standard or whatever. I think we have to sort of find our own way now.
Yeah, I think it's certainly commendable what you're doing, and I think there's a lot that other publications can learn from your particular journey. Would you say that open access, open research, and transparent reporting are helping this effort in terms of helping improve research integrity and also helping support multilingualism? Would you think that that's true?
Yes, the whole drive in the last 30 years of systematic reviews in medicine has been really quintessential to opening up a lot of the production of articles coming and research coming from other countries. So I think reporting guidelines and methods is really, really key also. Better reporting is extremely important. So in that sense, there has been an evolution that I think is very positive, and maybe it's going to reverberate also into other disciplines as well. So just to say that I think research is increasingly reproducible, but we're not there yet. We need a lot more work on that. And also eliminating and reducing waste in research. I think those are like big factors that are still big pending issues there, especially in medicine.
Yeah, lots to do, but with people like you who have the energy, I think there's a lot of potential ahead of us. So let me just end with a future focused question. You've been running your journal for close to 20 years or probably more, and you've learned a lot. You've seen a lot change in that time. What do you see happening in the next 10 years from a peer review and a research perspective?
Oh, I've been really bogged down in the day-to-day, getting our projects and going forward, so, and just concluding them. I haven't had much time to think about the future. Having said that, I love thinking about the future. And I think basically it's how we can standardize publication so that the whole publication technology thing is something that's of easy access to university presses in the global South. Right now, they struggle. they have so much, it's just so much human effort put into getting out an arts and humanities journal and this and that, tagging and HTML and XML and JATS and all of that. And so I think the next 5 to 10 years, at least in my region, is trying to have all of these specialty journals, self-publishing cheaply, efficiently, but with really quality standards so that they can actually put their research and their voice out there in the world. I think multilingualism is the challenge that we have to face in the next 5 to 10 years for these journals, for journals that are publishing, that are coming out in countries that are not, that do not have English as their native tongue.
Outstanding. Hey, Vivienne, it was an amazing conversation. I learned a lot during the course of the conversation, and I applaud you for your efforts in doing what you're doing with Medwave, making the journal accessible to both the readers as well as the authors, and setting standards that others can now follow. So I wish you the very best, and thank you so much for talking to us today.
Thank you. And essentially, I'm just very happy that we're financially sustainable because that's something we didn't touch upon. But yes, that also makes me very happy. And I'm very happy to be here with you sharing these thoughts and ideas.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Vivienne.